Do not be seated. Sometimes, I mean it, sometimes we see sitting as a passive activity. Take a load off. Time to rest. Time to not act. Time to get comfortable. Time to forget it all. It has become a mindless act for us, even in liturgy. But in our tradition, sitting is a profound liturgical act. Did you know that? Having the bishop take her or his seat is an act of power, intention, attention, and action. So I'm going to invite you to sit in a moment, but to do so mindfully with these questions. What is my intention as an individual for being here? What is my intention for my life? What is our intention as a church community? How will you sit? Will it be a seat of joy, of gratitude? Will you sit in a place committed to hope, strength? And so now, don't just sit down, but rather with intention for this moment, take your seat. Be seated. And now a little journey through what's called the Book of Occasional Services. The seating of a bishop. This is the actual directions from our additional book published by the Episcopal Church. The presiding bishop and the warden now escort the bishop to the chair designated for the bishop of the diocese. Meanwhile, instrumental music may be played. The dean of the cathedral church, meeting the bishop at the cathedra. You know we have a cathedra? It's somewhere. It's where the bishop sits when the bishop visits. It's a special seat. They go to the cathedra, and the dean says, "In the name of the chapter of this cathedral church, and on behalf of the people of this diocese, I install you in the chair appointed to your office. May the Lord stir up in you the flame of holy charity and the power of faith that overcomes the world." And people say, "Amen." The bishop sits, and the people offer their acclamations and applause. Bells may be rung, or festive music may be played or sung. And afterwards, what does the bishop do? Stands and says, "The peace of the Lord be always with you." As human beings, we leave our body out of it too often. We don't get together with our whole self, our body, mind, soul, and spirit. We think a body is just something that we carry around and it's convenient to get from place to place. But it has no spiritual function. And so we would not necessarily think of standing or sitting as necessarily an engagement of our soul and our spirit and our mind. So we can end up sitting in all kinds of places. We can sit in self-pity. We can sit in hatred. We can sit in anger. We can sit in fear. We can sit unconsciously in a lot of places. But if we are mindful of choosing to sit with intention and knowing what that intention is, then we can also stand with intention. We stand to sing. We stand to pray. We stand to pass the peace. To eat at the same table and to be dismissed with an intention not just to stand, but to take a stand. Not just to walk, but to walk in love. Not to just run, but to strive for justice. Thich Nhat Hanh might say that when you sit, you can return to yourself. Imagine yourself sitting in the seat before you sit in a seat. Those parts of yourself you have not spent any time with, that you've run from. Imagine taking a seat to be where you are in the present moment. To remember who you truly are and not live in the negative perceptions that have formed in you through the non-intention of unconscious suffering. That's a big phrase. Our Jewish siblings pray the Amidah prayer. Amidah means standing. This prayer inspires being conscious of God in the present moment because it shocks us, it brings us out, it connects our body with an awareness of something new. The prayer begins with 3 steps backward. And then 3 steps forward into God's presence. You see the difference that makes when you have movement involved. You can step back and you can go, this is an opportunity to approach God. And you physically approach a place. It's not that God is not back there. This is all for us. Upon hearing the awesome sound of God giving the Torah on Mount Sinai, the Jews reacted by retreating a distance of 3 mil, M-I-L, a Talmudic era measurement. The Midrash explains also a process of 3 phases of darkness, a cloud, and opaque darkness, refer to 3 heavenly partitions that Moses had to go through when he entered and when he took leave of the divine presence. It's an awareness of where we are, what we're feeling, how we're moving in the world, showing up. Sitting and standing are opportunities to step into the sacred nature of who we are. You know, Robin Williams had it right when he said one of the top 10 reasons to be an Episcopalian is pew aerobics. It's just like, oh, stand up, down, blah, blah, kneel, whatever. But if they're done with some intention, you know, I don't know about you, but when I cross myself, I'm much more aware these days of suffering that I carry. Not only in myself, but also for those I love and for the world. This goes with me. And so it's a movement of the body. It's an engagement of my Episcopal aerobic plan. Today, Jesus is talking about where we sit. It would be fun to go around and ask, do you usually sit in the same place? You really know when someone always sits in the same place and you try to sit in it. That happened to me at the cathedral in Boston, where this woman came up and looked over me and like, what did I do? What's wrong? Until I left where I was sitting, because that was her pew. You know, there's reasons why we sit in the back, why we sit in the front, why we move around. But it's intentional. If your intention is brought to that, you know, that's what's important. There's no bad or good place to sit. It's just simply the spirit of intentionality. And that's what Jesus is talking about. He said, spiritually speaking, don't sit in the place of honor. Be invited to the place of honor. So all of this starts with humility Humility, which comes from the word humus, which means earth. It's about being human first. About realizing that we are all connected. We are all part of each other. It's seeing the connection that we share. It does not mean ranking ourselves. Sitting with intention involves seeing that we are humans first. Not Americans, not documented, not illegal or legal, not rich or poor, not black or white, not straight or LGBTQ. Humility means embracing non-distinction between humans. And Jesus is not just asking about where we sit, but where we invite others to sit. Think about it. So last Thursday was an amazing day for me. I'm sure it was an amazing day for everybody that was there. 30 of us went to the Immigration Court building in San Francisco. And we kind of mirrored the line of people waiting to get into the courthouse. We, kept the sidewalk clear. We were not trying to obstruct anything. But there was already tension in the air because the group that was protesting the day before turned violent or created violence. It was in the news, so we saw it the night before we went. And so we were entering a very tense environment. But before we started our prayer vigil, we had our own form of Eucharist. We went up and down the line of individuals and we offered coffee. Would you like cream in your coffee? How do you take it? We offered breakfast pastries. We offered bottles of water. We had little stuffed animals of various colors for the children. You can imagine being a child in that situation. We changed the energy of that entire street. You could feel it. When you have the opportunity to greet somebody, and I especially like wearing my collar at those times because it, for some, at least indicates something. And to be able to look in each person's eyes, to offer a smile, to offer them something that they actually wanted, a cup of coffee, something to eat, something to drink. It changed the energy. And that to me is prayer. Changing energy is prayer. I mean, it's not about just asking questions or saying, God, did you see that? Did you realize that this person is in need? Would you do this? Prayer is much more about the energy we have the opportunity to create. You go to the grocery store, you have the power. You see yourself in the right spirit. Then you can ask the person at the register how they're doing. What's your day been like? You can smile. You can thank them for their service. You can notice things. You have changed the energy of a space and time. And it will put a smile on your face. It will. It changes you when you do that. Somewhere there's another page. As that earthly Eucharist was happening, we could feel it. We felt, or at least I speak for myself, like we were inviting them to receive the honor that every human being deserves. They may have arrived with a sense of dishonor, of not even being welcome, or feeling lower in some way. but by elevating them and offering a seat of honor by those simple acts. It changed the environment. We can easily think of it as inviting people to a banquet, people that can never repay us. That actually is what community organizing is about. Literally now thousands of students that have a free youth bus pass, they don't know where that came from. They will never repay us or those of us that worked for 8 years on that project. And there's something wonderful about that. But at the same time, let's get back to humility. We can't let this go to our heads when we do something, because it's easy for people of privilege to pat ourselves on the back. Look at what we're doing. We are inviting others to take the seat of honor. It's a little reminiscent of the disciples who then say, well, that means I deserve a seat of honor. I think I should sit next to Jesus. How about that? And an argument breaks out. But what we must remember is that the very immigrants that we are seeking to elevate to the place of honor beat us to it. Immigrant farmers have already put us in the seat of honor, offering us the food they have labored over in the heat of the day, when they themselves cannot afford to eat that very same food themselves. On this Labor Day weekend, we remember the ways all laborers have elevated us to a seat of honor by providing a clean house or a hotel room, or a delicious harvest, or affordable work on our yards or on our houses. They don't invite us to sit there. They assume we sit there in a place of honor. And they honor us profoundly with their hard labor. It's not that they cannot repay us. It's us who can never repay them. I don't know how you got here this morning. Did you drive on a road? How many of you helped lay the asphalt on the road? Did you drive in a car?
Yeah.
Were you mindful of where that car came from? What was involved? People working on it. I think this piece of paper. Where did the piece of paper come from? If we're mindful, we know it came from a forest. There were people cutting trees down. There were people working in a paper mill. Have you ever smelled a paper mill? We had a good friend of my uncle's that worked in a paper mill in Maine, and we went up one time and had to have dinner, which is awfully hard when you're smelling that smell.
Yeah.
And my uncle said, "How do you eat and smell that smell?" And you know what the response was? My uncle was named Red. The wife said, "Red, if we don't smell that smell, we don't eat." We take so much for granted in terms of what we have. We're not mindful about it. And may we remember what Martin Luther King would always say. He said, before you arrive at church, if you took the time to think of everything you relied on, whether it was water or soap or clothing, we have already relied on every nation on this planet. We are human first. Jesus calls us to that.